Season 3 is finally here and the meta is changing once again. With a new addition in Phoenix and many buffs and nerfs that change the most viable heroes, the meta as we know it and the best heroes are going to be different. So in this video, we're going to break down the 10 biggest winners across tanks, DPS, and supports so that you know exactly what heroes are worth maining and grinding this season. But more people than ever are reaching all-time highs with the Marvel Rivals Academy. First, we offer Coach Scrims, consistent 6v6s that you get coached on by professional coaches after every single round, in-house tournaments where Academy students compete for prizes, over 3 consistent weekly classes given by top-tier coaches including myself, talking about positions, strategies, metas that you need to know, and you get to join the best community ever, all players devoted to grinding and getting better. I could not recommend the Marvel Rivals Academy enough, and for 30 days, it's completely free, so it's literally risk-free to check it out, and I can't wait to see you there, so check it out in the links down below. Now, the first big winner I have to talk about is definitely Namor. And for those of you who don't know, Namor is getting a pretty massive buff in the speed of his primary and alternate projectile. Like before, it was pretty fast, but now it's insanely fast. Now, it's almost as fast as a Hawkeye freaking arrow, and it just looks ridiculous when you see it. Now, you combine that to the fact that a lot of poke-based flyers and other strategies have been nerfed, and overall, there have been buffs to Brawl, which we'll talk a little bit more in a bit. Namor slots into that incredibly well, and with Hulk not receiving any nerfs as well, and you still having that very powerful Namor-Hulk team-up that did get buffed in the previous patch 2.5, it's all adding up together to make Namor more lethal from range, an extremely versatile and powerful pick, and with Hulk being freed, so to speak, with nerfs to Emma, I really do think that Namor is going to shine more than he has in quite some time. I also think that Namor, combining with Groot, combining with damage boost with his ultimate, these are very efficient ways to break through a lot of these really powerful defensive ults, and Namor is going to be a huge winner going forward. I do think that a lot of people have put down the Trident going into 2.5, but going into 3, I think it's time to pick him back up again. The number 2 on the list for a big winner is a character that actually didn't receive any changes, which is strange, but a character that has consistently been one of the best heroes in the game, and its only price to get even better is Luna. We saw changes to several different supports, including small nerfs here and there to characters like Loki, but Luna especially is a character that has been a crazy overperformer. The most powerful defensive ult that we have, extremely powerful invulnerability for 12 seconds, plus the ability to damage boost and combo with a ton of different ultimates that's really strong. She has very good pocket healing, very good burst healing, very good damage, and a amazing crowd control that also gives her heals. I mean, she's just like the entire package, and I think especially in a meta that isn't super heavy dive, Luna is just a necessity. She's just so strong in Brawl and poke compositions, and even in a dive composition, if you play Luna very well positionally and you have another support that can kind of fill in some of your weaknesses, anti-dive weaknesses, you know, characters like Loki that pair extremely well and also combine together for 24 freaking seconds of ultimate, Luna is just amazing. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. I do think that Luna is like the favorite child because she's been consistently so freaking strong, and she never gets a nerf. She actually only gets buffs somehow, and it's kind of crazy. But yeah, Luna's just insane, and at this point it's like, we're not gonna leave a Luna meta, just learn Luna. I think Luna is one of the supports that you have to learn going forward. It just seems like it's a disservice to not learn Luna. But my one tip that I would give for you on Luna is make sure that you're ready to swap to damage boost in certain situations. I think a lot of Luna players will just pop their Luna ult and keep it on heals, which is good, it's nice, but there are some times where you actually want to swap it to damage in a core second. Your Thor's slamming down, swap to damage. Your Magneto's throwing the ult, swap to damage. You're actually like Groot ulting an enemy Luna, well, in a core moment, if you swap to damage, you can actually burn through it. There's a lot of moments where a damage swap can be amazing. You just have to be looking for and attentive about when to swap it, just flashing it for a second. Now, the next big winner that actually did get changes is The Thing. And I'm a big Thing player, I always have been, but in Season 2, The Thing has been extremely underwhelming, especially with the introduction of Ultron and these Iron Man flyer comps that are just everywhere. The Thing couldn't do anything about these comps. You know, he's just standing there. He wants to brawl, he wants to beat ass, but he can't. He's just staring above, being able to do nothing, right? And that's frustrating for Thing mains, but there was several things that have changed. Number one, the Thing can directly counter flyers now. He can jump up to flyers and hit them with a haymaker that's super easy to hit, and then it grounds them and allows for super easy follow-up, and that's amazing. The ability to grab onto enemies is just crazy for Thing, by the way. It also creates tons of possibilities like chasing down a Black Panther, chasing down a Magic, chasing anything, just giving you more mobility in general. There's a lot of times where as the Thing you kind of feel stranded, where you're in no man's land, where you have nothing to jump to. Being able to go further in with the Thing is amazing. Not to mention you can like jump to just an enemy support, pop your ultimate. There's a lot of new combos that you can do with the Thing now, and I just think it really frees up the Thing's kit altogether. It almost feels like this is something that should have been on the Thing since the start, and it really makes him work a lot better in my personal opinion. Another thing that you need to consider is the fact that a lot of these flyers got nerfed. Ultron's getting nerfed, Iron Man's getting nerfed. As a whole, flyers are going to be a lot weaker, and I think we're moving a little bit away from this poke flyer meta. And yes, poke's still going to be represented, but we're also going to see a lot more brawl. I think that we're going to see a massive return to brawl, a lot more brawl, close range engagements, and of course the Thing plays into that really, really well. And as things get closer to the ground, the Thing really dominates that. He's good against double shield, he's good against dive. There's a lot of things that the Thing really thrives at, and I really do think that this is going to be one of the better seasons for the Thing. I'm excited to turn off my brain, run it down, and throw hands, okay? It's going to be freaking a great season for the Thing. But number 4 is a hero that I'm going to have on my permanent ban list, but if he's not being banned, you should be locking him, because it's Wolverine, baby. So this is the basic change that they did to Wolverine. They made it so he has a longer leap cooldown, but once he lands, he slashes for 1 second longer. So 3 seconds longer on that leap cooldown, but he slashes longer. Overall, it's kind of a wash. Adding 3 seconds to the leap cooldown doesn't really matter that much. You're just gonna cycle a slight bit longer, but it's not really that big of a deal because you typically had to cycle out, get healed, cycle back in, reposition, all that stuff. So it wasn't really gonna change him unless they made it like a crazy high number. It doesn't really matter. But the thing about Wolverine in season 2.5 is he's been a menace. Like, a lot of people slept on this character for a while, but players slowly started to realize just the potential of Wolverine. You just get a Wolverine, you give him a rocket pack, and he's kidnapping a tank, and he's taking it to your team, and he's killing them. He's kidnapping a tank and taking him off the map. He's kidnapping a squishy and taking him off the map. And he also brawls extremely well when he's being pocketed. He builds ultimate at a crazy rate. I think Wolverine just has a ridiculous ultimate charge time. And it is legitimately one of the best DPS ults in the entire game because it can kill through defensive ults. It can yoink people out of Invisible Woman ults. It can just kill people out of nowhere. It can turn fights when you're like down in numbers. A Wolverine ult can just like get 2 kills and just turn a fight out of nowhere. And the thing about Wolverine is he doesn't really have any terrible matchups. Like, he's actually reasonably good against the Thing because he can brawl the Thing out. If he has reasonable resources and the Thing needs that too, he can actually just trade blows with the Thing and do a ton of damage. He's great against characters like Groot. He's great against characters like Doctor Strange. As long as the Wolverine's good, he can make him work even against some really powerful tanks that are normally good against him, like Mag and Emma. This character is just one of the best characters in the game. And they gave him a new powerful team up that gives him lifesteal, which is just insane. I do imagine Jean Grey or Wolf or both will get banned in some regard. However, in situations they're not, you need to know how to abuse Wolverine because this character is already hard enough to kill. Now he gets lifesteal with his leaps. And that's just crazy. Like, I'm telling you right now, Wolverine is gonna be a menace in season 3. We're moving closer to a brawl, further away from a poke. And you gotta understand that in a poke flyer meta, that should be when Wolverine is at his legitimate worst, right? And he was still one of the best top 3 DPS in the game and consistently overperforming. So in this new meta, he's gonna be absurd. So learn Wolverine or ban Wolverine, the choice is yours. Then number 5, a big winner in season 3, is a hero that actually got nerfed, which is a weird one, but it's Loki. And the only thing that got nerfed on Loki is his ultimate is going to be a little bit longer to charge. But the thing about Loki is that Loki has been consistently the highest performing support, one of the highest carry supports. Like, Luna, of course, is extremely strong, but because she's picked so much, her win rate actually falls off. Loki is to the point where he's picked a ton and his win rate is still incredibly high, which means that people should honestly be playing Loki even more than they are but I think that there's a skill cap that is keeping people away, a complexity gap that people are kind of scared of Loki. But I'm here to tell you that Loki is, in my opinion, the single hardest carry character in the game, not support, character. And I know this because there's a ton of top 100 players that are Loki mains. Loki is, you know, there's like some of the best players in the world, like the top 5 players in the world. A lot of them play Loki a lot. Loki just has crazy impact. He has crazy damage. He has crazy abilities, crazy mitigation, crazy movement. An ultimate that is just going to be the best ultimate on the battlefield, typically a Luna ultimate. And even though his ultimate's going to be harder to get, it's still going to be reasonable to get, right? You're not going to have an extremely expensive ultimate. And I really do think that players are getting super, super good at Loki. People are starting to unlock the potential of Loki. And Loki is also just this crazy stat farmer, this crazy MVP farmer. You're going to have freaking 19 kills and like 26 assists and just a mountain of healing and so much damage too. Loki just gets to do everything and provide so much value that I actively think that there's a lot of games where you're putting yourself at a disadvantage just not playing this character. I think this is the season that, as far as my support flex, I'm going to embrace Loki more, because I do think that he's just a character that you can just carry games if you play him perfectly. He's extremely, extremely hard to play perfectly. He's a very, very high skill ceiling character, perhaps one of the highest. I would definitely have him in the top 3 hardest characters to master. But isn't it great to main a character that you know you could always do more on? That feels really, really good, and I think Loki is just gonna be so good this season. Even in spite of his small nerf, it just doesn't matter. Now, the next big winner in Season 3 is another character that has no changes, but that's exactly why he's going to be so great, and it's the Hulk. The Hulk was like just under the surface in the previous season. He was actually good, but there were other strategies that kind of, you know, pushed him out a little bit. I think Emma being a little bit too strong kind of pushed him out as well. And then, of course, the Namor synergy not really working perfectly in the meta. There was other really powerful things like Iron Man and other things. So with the nerfs of some of these flyers and other strategies, and the nerf of Emma, I think Hulk and Namor are really gonna thrive a lot this season. In addition to that, I think Brawl is gonna make a massive return. Hulk just being this all-around disruptive character that provides a lot of pressure in many different spaces, and then also just giving that Namor a super powerful poke angle, a really proactive off angle that just gets to just output a crazy amount of damage. It all just works extremely well. And it's interesting because Hulk is going to become more powerful and more meta, not just purely due to him alone, because he's actually been good for a while. It's really just there have been characters that have just been so much more busted. I really think especially that like Psylocke, Emma, Magneto, Trinergy that we've been seeing has been just a little bit too strong. And that's still going to be strong, by the way. But Hulk is really going to be able to carve out his own space. And especially when he doesn't have to play into this like long distance poke composition all the time. He's really going to be able to carry in a way that he didn't before. So yeah, I think Hulk is just a great pick going into the season. In the dark, there's no reason why he won't be absolutely dominant. And of course, being able to deal with a lot of these divers as well that people are playing. Black Panther, Spider-Man with his new team up, Venom with his new buff. All of that randomness that is going to see play, I just think Namor is just going to be good in the dark against that. Hulk Namor is just very versatile and flexible. And with the buffs to Namor, you're going to be, as a duo, good against poke, good against dive, good at brawl. Like you're just kind of good against anything, right? Good against the field. So it's a really safe bet to pick going into the season. Now, speaking of which, number 7 on the list, our next DPS is actually Bucky, a character that is actually getting a buff, a fall off damage buff, going to be able to do longer damage from range. And you kind of see a theme with the faster firing rate on Namor and the longer damage on Bucky. These characters are buffed to challenge some of these pokers more. Characters like Hela, they're going to be able to fight them from ranges, but also Bucky plays really good in a brawl. And this is one of the reasons why I think brawl is going to make a massive comeback. Bucky synergizes really well with characters like Groot, being able to ult in. Bucky is good against characters like Loki, that is in no doubt going to be meta. And Bucky being able to do more consistent damage from range is also just going to be a buff to his ult. So he's going to get faster ultimates. And especially when characters like Loki maybe lag a little bit behind, you might be able to slip in a really fast Bucky ult and get some really, really quick value and carry a fight that way. I also think when you think about characters like Namor and like Bucky, their strength is primarily gonna be in a brawl or against dive, right? That's where they play really well. They play well into a brawl and they play well anti-dive, but they actually both can poke, and when you buff their ability to poke, all of a sudden their bad matchups, quote unquote, you know, the Hellas, the Hawkeyes, stuff like that, the Punishers, get less bad. And especially when you combine that with nerfs to characters like Punisher and overall just a meta shift altogether, especially away from flyers, you know, characters like Iron Man and Ultron, Bucky just becomes a lot more appealing. And I think overall it's just gonna be a great season to play Bucky. Once again, he's just gonna be good against the field, just really good against the field. But a very interesting character that I think is gonna be really good in season 3 is actually Cloak. And it's weird because I put Cloak as my losers in like the last winners, I think 2.5, before the mid season where Hawkeye got nerfed. Remember, Hawkeye was super buff with the Luma team up, and then Hawkeye got nerfed in the mid season. And that's because Hawkeye was just really good at, like, you know, punishing cloaks with their ults and things like that. And that's true, but in that first part of the season, Hawkeye was just always banned, so it didn't even really matter. Like, that didn't matter at all. But the thing about Cloak that is more unique than the other supports, because there are other powerful supports, you know, characters like Rocket and Invisible Woman, but the thing about Cloak, especially when we talk about her in a brawl, and when I say brawl, I mean close range trading of lots of damage, right? So, you know, Thing, Groot, freaking Wolverine at times, Bucky, like, that's a brawl, right? They're trading a ton of HP, life points, right? Cloak plays extremely good into that in ranked because they build up ultimate faster than any other support. Like, a very fast Cloak ult when your Groot or whatever is taking a bazillion damage can just win you a fight, because if they're playing triple support, they're all at like 60%, and, you know, they're not even close. If they're playing Loki Luna, which I think is probably the most powerful dual support, and they don't properly space and back up, and they're not getting value in their trades of damage, which in ranked, most people don't. Most people just do a lot of trash damage. You're gonna get ult when they're like at 80, both of them. And then they're just gonna die, and you're just gonna win that first fight for free because you're playing Cloak, a character that people were like, wow, Cloak sucks compared to Luna and Loki. But if your opponent doesn't play it correctly, which most of them aren't, you're just gonna get free value. All you have to do is just pocket your front line and then pop ult instantly, and you just win fights. And I think that that is just super strong. Another super underrated aspect of Cloak is the ability to swap to dagger, give your damage, you know, the increased damage, and then actually kill through defensive ults, which is something that I think you can coordinate with a duo. That's really powerful. You can coordinate that with your freaking your Namor. You can coordinate that with your Groot. You can coordinate that with your Bucky. It's really powerful if you communicate with a dual partner, and I think you should do it more for sure. Now, I've been yapping about brawl, and I gotta include the god of brawl here at number 9, Groot. I think Groot's gonna make a massive comeback in season 3. Groot fell for a couple of reasons. There's a lot of different reasons. Of course, Wolverine has to be a ban if Groot's going to be played, which he most likely is going to be banned quite a bit. But Groot is also a character that doesn't really play well against flyers and long distance poke. He wants characters that have to poke him, but he can cut off their line of sights. He wants to play against supports that he can cut off their line of sights as well. He does not want to play against an Ultron that's playing the Skybox. He doesn't want to play against an Iron Man that's playing the Skybox. He doesn't want to do against these things. And with that all gonna be going down, it's not gonna be completely eliminated, but I think it's gonna be dramatically weaker than it was in 2.5. Groot is gonna thrive. And against a nerfed Emma, I think Groot has a favored matchup. He already actually had a favored matchup against Emma, which is a surprising thing. A lot of people think that Emma just bodies Groot. Outside of Diamond Form, if you bait Diamond Form, a very long cooldown, or if anyone else baits Diamond Form, where there's a million things that an Emma wants to use Diamond Form against, Groot can just completely wall off and shut off this Emma from the front line and punish her for being too proactive. He's good against Magneto. He's good against any close range tank. He's super good against the Thing. But one of the things that really hurt Groot in 2.5, in my opinion, is that you need DPS that can close. You need DPS that can close on who you wall. So if you're walling off, you know, let's say you wall off a tank and they're isolated, you do not need a Hela just playing like all the way back 40 meters away shooting. You do not need a Hawkeye constantly poking. What you need is a Namor running in, throwing squiz, right clicking. You need a Bucky that is just gonna dash in and freaking just trade damage, like throw damage in there. You need characters that want to brawl and trade. You need a maybe even a Magic, right? Someone that's just gets in and trades damage with you, because you're creating separation, right? You're creating advantage. You need DPS that will follow through, and those characters are all going to be stronger. So all of this kind of comes together and showcases that Groot is gonna be very, very powerful. And I'm gonna be honest, he was powerful in 2.5 in the right situations with the right bans, but I think there's gonna be a lot more situations where Groot really thrives. But of course, his public enemy #1, Wolverine, has to be banned, just absolutely has to. You cannot play Wolverine against him, but honestly, also Phoenix is most likely gonna see quite a bit of bannings as well, as a character that is a bit anti-brawl, but it is gonna be a bit unclear how much she impacts the meta going forward. She seems like she has a lot of potential, but we're not talking too much about her because it's just pure speculation until we see how the meta develops with her introduced into it. Now, the last character that I want to talk about in Season 3 is actually Hela. And I think Hela in the one-on-one matchup actually does have several advantages against a character like Phoenix. While Phoenix might be better with AoE, against Brawl, things like that, Hela is gonna be a bit better in like isolated one-on-ones and burst damage, right? Higher burst damage. But that's not even the reason why I'm putting Hela on this list. I'm really talking about Hela because of this Venom team up that I think has a lot of potential legs, specifically a Hela, Magneto, Venom composition. Being able to stun something and slow it with that Venom team up is a ridiculously powerful team up. Like, Hela stun's already good. Being able to slow, you could apply that to so many different things, and you could slow multiple people. That's crazy powerful when you combine it with a Venom diving in, with a mag bubble and his slow, followed by a Hela stun and her slow. It just can get really, really out of hand. And I want to make it clear here that I don't know exactly where Phoenix will lie. I wouldn't be surprised if she's so strong that she's just banned all the time. But I also wouldn't be surprised that Hela is still just something that is just gonna be stronger than her when people have great aim, because both these characters have very similar aim styles, but Hela has always been one of the strongest DPS in the game, and I don't imagine that changing anytime soon. It's kind of a weird situation, right? Because if we move away from a brawl into like long distance poke like we have been in 2.5, Hela's just gonna be better right there. But then if we move into a brawl meta, then all of a sudden Phoenix gets a lot more value. So it's interesting there where it's like if brawl is meta, Phoenix is better, and if poke is more meta, Hela's better. But of course, a lot of this is speculation. We have to wait till it all plays out. And of course, there could be new techs and things that people discover. So we're not going to jump the gun. But let me know down below. Is there any heroes that you think were missed in winners for Season 3? What hero are you maining and why? And what hero do you think is a big loser? We got that video coming up next. What do you think is going to be on it? Let me know down below. Check out the Marvel Rivals Academy, 30 days of free coaching. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.